Imagine walking into your dream date night, only to find your girlfriend brought him, her friend who's been too close for comfort. When she demands you apologize to him, the truth hits hard. Betrayal stings, but what if you uncover a secret that flips the script? This is the story of Jake, who turned heartbreak into a master plan for justice. Jake's fingers tapped nervously on his phone as he stood outside the Salty Wave, a cozy Seattle bistro overlooking Puget Sound. The reservation had taken him a month to secure, a corner table by the window, perfect for the anniversary he'd planned with Mia. 3 years together, and he'd poured his heart into tonight. At 28, Jake was the kind of guy who showed up early, who'd spend hours at the animal shelter walking dogs or cracking bad puns to make Mia laugh. He wasn't flashy, but he was steady, and he thought that's what she loved about him. He checked his watch, 7:02 p.m. Mia was late, which wasn't unusual lately. She'd been distant, her texts shorter, her excuses flimsier. Work stress, she'd said. Jake believed her because he wanted to. He adjusted the small gift box in his pocket. A custom keychain with a tiny photo of them from their first hike together, something small but meaningful. He hoped it'd remind her of when things felt easier. The bistro's door swung open, and Mia appeared, her steps quick but uneven, like she was rushing to catch up with her own thoughts. Jake's smile faltered when he saw who was trailing her. Ryan, her co-worker, the guy who always seemed to linger too long at her office happy hours. Jake had met him twice. Both times Ryan had that slick confidence, the kind that made you feel like you were interrupting your own conversation. Hey, Jake, Mia called, her voice bright but brittle. Ryan's joining us. Hope you don't mind. Jake's stomach twisted. Joining us. His words came out sharper than he meant, but he caught himself and forced a nod. Sure. Yeah. Ryan clapped him on the shoulder, too hard like they were old buddies. Thanks, man. Didn't want to crash, but Mia insisted. His grin was all teeth, no warmth. They were seated at the table Jake had chosen, the one meant for two. The server slid an extra chair in, and Ryan took it without hesitation, positioning himself between Jake and Mia like he belonged there. The candlelight flickered, but didn't feel romantic anymore. It felt like a spotlight on Jake's growing unease. Mia dove into small talk, her words tumbling over each other. Work's been crazy, you know? Ryan's been helping with this huge project. She laughed, too loud, as Ryan launched into a story about some client pitch. Jake tried to listen, but his eyes kept drifting to Mia's hand, inches from Ryan's on the table. No ring. She'd stopped wearing the promise ring he'd given her last year. He hadn't noticed until now. So Jake, Ryan said, leaning back, what's your deal? Still doing those dog walks for free? His tone was casual, but the jab landed. Jake's volunteer work wasn't a secret, but Ryan made it sound like a hobby for kids. Yeah, Jake said evenly. Keeps me grounded. He glanced at Mia, hoping for a nod, a smile, something to anchor him. She was scrolling her phone, lips pursed. The server brought their drinks. Wine for Mia, beer for Jake, some craft cocktail for Ryan. Jake tried to steer things back. So, Mia, I was thinking we could plan that weekend trip to the Olympics soon. Like we talked about. Mia's eyes flicked up, then away. Oh yeah, maybe. Ryan smirked, swirling his drink. Olympics, huh? Sounds intense. Mia's been more into city vibes lately, right? He nudged her, and she laughed again, a sound that didn't reach her eyes. Jake's grip tightened on his glass. This was supposed to be our night, he said, voice low but firm. Just us. The table went quiet. Mia smile vanished. Ryan raised an eyebrow, like he was watching a show. The couple at the next table glanced over, their forks paused mid-bite. Jake felt the air shift, the weight of eyes on them. Mia leaned forward, her voice sharp. Jake, don't make this weird. You embarrassed Ryan. He's just trying to be friendly. Embarrassed him? Jake's pulse spiked. Mia, I booked this place for us. You brought him. No heads up. Nothing. Ryan leaned in, his voice dripping with mock concern. Hey, man, relax. We're all just having dinner. Jake's jaw clenched. He looked at Mia, searching for the woman who used to text him good night, even when they were in the same room. She stared back, cheeks flushed, not with wine, but with something harder, defiance. Say it, she hissed, barely audible. Apologize to him. The words hit like a slap. Apologize. To Ryan. For what? Existing? Jake's chair scraped as he stood, the sound cutting through the restaurant's hum. Conversations around them faltered. He didn't care. Choose, he said, loud enough for the table, maybe the room. Him or me. Right now. Mia's mouth opened, but no words came. Ryan, still seated, took a slow sip of his cocktail, his eyes glinting with amusement. Jake didn't wait for an answer. He turned and walked out, the gift box still in his pocket, his heart hammering so loud it drowned out the bistro's chatter. Outside, the Seattle air was cool, the streetlights blurring as he crossed a bench. He sat, staring at the restaurant's window, where Mia and Ryan were still visible. Mia's hands fidgeted with her napkin. Ryan stretched, like he just went around. Jake's phone buzzed. Mia's name on the screen. He ignored it. Then another text. You embarrassed me. He laughed, a short, bitter sound. Embarrassed her, not the other way around. His thumb hovered over her name, but instead of calling, he opened their shared cloud album. He wasn't proud of it, but he'd been noticing things, late nights, vague excuses, her lock screen changing from their photo to some generic quote. And there it was, buried in the album, a picture of Mia and Ryan at a Portland rooftop bar, dated 2 weeks ago. Her smile was wide, his hand close to her hip. Caption, Nights we don't explain. Jake's breath caught. This wasn't a one-off. This was a pattern, and he'd been too trusting to see it. He zoomed in on the photo, her face blurring into pixels. His phone buzzed again. Jake, you're being immature. We were trying to include you. Include him. On his own anniversary. He didn't reply. Instead, he scrolled back to the photo, saved it, and closed his eyes. This wasn't just betrayal. It was deliberate. And Jake wasn't going to let it slide. Not anymore. Jake's apartment was too quiet, the kind of silence that amplifies your own heartbeat. It was just past midnight, hours after he'd walked out of the salty wave, leaving Mia and Ryan behind. His phone sat on a coffee table, screen dark, but the image of that rooftop bar photo burned in his mind. Mia's smile, Ryan's hand too close, the caption, Nights we don't explain. Jake wasn't the type to snoop, but trust had cracked, and curiosity was a stronger pull than pride. He opened his laptop, fingers hesitating over the keyboard before diving into their shared cloud account. Mia had never been careful about syncing settings. That was his way in. He scrolled through folders, old vacation pics, random screenshots, and found a subfolder labeled Work. Odd, since Mia never used their shared cloud for her marketing job. Inside was a string of photos, mostly harmless office candidates, but one stood out. Mia and Ryan at a conference in Portland, time-stamped 3 months ago. They were laughing, heads close, a half-empty wine bottle between them. No caption this time, but the date didn't lie. This was long before she'd started bringing Ryan around as a friend. Jake's jaw tightened. He saved the photo and kept digging. The deeper he went, the worse it got. A screenshot of a text thread between Mia and Ryan, synced from her phone. Can't wait to see you tonight. Jake's out late. Sent 2 weeks ago, on a night Jake was at the animal shelter, covering an extra shift. Another message from Ryan. He's clueless. Let's keep it that way. Jake's stomach churned, but he didn't stop. He found a video, a short clip of Mia and Ryan at a bar, her giggling as he whispered something in her ear. The upload date was last month, when Mia claimed she was swamped with deadlines. Then he noticed something else, a log file from their shared Wi-Fi router. Months ago, when Mia helped Ryan set up a streaming app on his tablet, Jake had quietly enabled device tracking. Not out of suspicion then, but because he was paranoid about network security. Now it was a goldmine. Ryan's device, labeled Ray's iPad Pro, had connected to their Wi-Fi dozens of times, often late at night when Mia said she was alone. One entry stood out. 1:17 a.m. The night Mia canceled their weekend getaway to the Olympic Peninsula, claiming a stomach bug. Ryan's tablet was online for 3 hours. Jake leaned back, pulse racing. This wasn't just cheating. It was calculated. He opened the router's admin panel, still active, and cross-checked dates. The pattern was undeniable. Ryan was at their apartment when Jake wasn't, sometimes even when he was asleep down the hall. But the real gut punch came when he found a call log buried in the router's backup, linked to a third-party app. It wasn't a number, but a forwarding service, the kind used to mask real calls. Jake recognized it from a tech blog he'd read. Apps like that could store voicemails if not cleared. He hesitated, then accessed their shared cloud backups again. After 20 minutes of digging through auto-sync files, he found it. An audio file, 47 seconds long, dated 2 months ago. He hit play. Ryan's voice, low and smug, filled the room. She's in the shower. No, she doesn't know I'm calling. She still thinks I'm keeping her busy. I'll get the video. Don't worry. Just make sure she never sees the wire transfer. About her wrapped up tight. She thinks this is love. The call ended with a faint hum, maybe a TV in the background. Jake replayed it twice, each word sinking deeper. Video? Wire transfer? This wasn't just an affair. Ryan was running something bigger, and Mia was caught in it, maybe without even knowing. Jake's first instinct was to call her, to demand answers, but he stopped himself. Confronting her now would tip Ryan off, and he'd cover his tracks. Jake needed more. He needed proof. He remembered a name from Mia's office gossip, Celeste, Ryan's ex, who'd left him last year after a messy breakup. Mia had mentioned her once, laughing about how Celeste couldn't handle Ryan's charm. Jake found her on social media, her profile mostly private except for one public post from 2 weeks ago, a screenshot of a text from Ryan. "Trust me, babe. She's just a backup plan. Always has been." The post was captioned, "Some guys never change." Jake's hand shook as he typed a message to Celeste. "Hey, I'm Jake. Mia is your boyfriend. I think we've both been played by Ryan. Can we talk?" He didn't expect a reply, nodded to him, but his phone lit up within minutes. "Video call?" Celeste's message read. He accepted. Celeste's face appeared, tired but sharp, her voice steady. "I knew he'd do this again," she said. No preamble. Ryan's out of playbook. Find a woman in a shaky relationship, makes her feel like her partner's the problem, then swoops in. "He did it to me. Now you and Mia." Jake swallowed. Did he ever mention a guy named Carson? Or anything about money? Celeste's eyes narrowed. "Carson, yeah. I overheard Ryan on a call once, right before I dumped him. Sounded like he owed this guy something. Money, favors, I don't know." Ryan was nervous, which isn't like him. She paused. "You've got something on him, don't you?" Jake hesitated, then told her about the audio, the Wi-Fi logs, the photos. Celeste didn't flinch. "That sounds like him. He's not just a cheater. He's a user. Whatever he's doing with this Carson guy, Mia's probably a pawn." "Should I tell her?" Jake asked. "Not yet," Celeste said. "If she's in deep, she might not believe you. Ryan's good at making you doubt yourself. Get more evidence. Hit him where it hurts." Jake nodded, a plan forming. He wasn't going to storm back to Mia or confront Ryan. He'd be smarter. He spent the next hour copying every file, photos, logs, the audio, onto a USB drive. He didn't know what video Ryan was talking about or what the wire transfer meant, but he knew one thing. He wasn't the only one with receipts, and he wasn't going to let Ryan walk away clean. By dawn, Jake had a lead. A quick search showed Carson Vellum, a former co-worker of Mia's, fired last year for financial irregularities. The pieces were clicking, but the puzzle wasn't complete. Jake wasn't ready to act. Not yet. But he was done being the guy who trusted too much. Whatever Ryan was planning, Jake was going to find it, and he'd make sure the truth came out. Jake's laptop screen glowed in the dim morning light, casting sharp shadows as he stared at the USB drive in his hand. It held everything. The damning audio of Ryan's call, Wi-Fi logs showing his late-night visits, photos of him and Mia, and Celeste's screenshot calling Mia a backup plan. Jake's pulse hadn't slowed since his call with Celeste last night. Her words echoed. Get more evidence. Hit him where it hurts. He wasn't out for revenge, not the screaming, table-flipping kind. He wanted justice, clean, undeniable, and final. He started with Carson Vellum, the name Celeste dropped. A quick search pulled up an old LinkedIn profile. Carson, a former account manager at Mia's marketing firm, let go last year for policy violations. Jake dug deeper, scouring public records. A small news article mentioned Carson's involvement in a fraud investigation, something about funneling client funds through shell accounts. No charges filed, but the dots were connecting. Ryan's audio mentioned a wire transfer and a video. Was Mia being used to launder money? Or was she just collateral in Ryan's game? Jake needed more than speculation. He opened the router logs again, cross-referencing dates with Mia's calendar, still synced to his phone from when they shared everything. One night stood out. March 12th, when Mia said she was crashing early after a fight. Ryan's tablet connected at 11:43 p.m. and stayed online until 2:17 a.m. Jake found a corresponding cloud backup, a temporary file from Mia's phone, a screenshot of a bank transfer confirmation. It was blurry, but he could make out a six-figure sum and a recipient name, CV Holdings. Carson Vellum. His hand shook as he saved the screenshot. This was bigger than infidelity. Ryan wasn't just cheating. He was using Mia's accounts, maybe her identity, to move dirty money. Jake's mind raced. Confronting Mia now would be a mistake. She might warn Ryan, and he'd vanish. Instead, Jake kept digging. He found an encrypted folder in the cloud. One Mia likely didn't know was syncing. The password was her old one, Sunset Hike 2022, from their first trip together. Inside was a single video file, 22 seconds long. Jake hit play. The footage was shaky, shot on a phone. It showed Mia at her desk, unaware she was being recorded, logging into a banking app. Ryan's voice, off-screen, said, "Just one more transfer, babe, for the project." Mia nodded, distracted, typing. The video cut off. Jake's stomach dropped. Ryan wasn't just manipulating her emotions. He was documenting her involvement, setting her up to take the fall. He messaged Celeste again. Found a video. Ryan recorded Mia making a bank transfer. Looks like a setup. Her reply was instant. Send it to me. I know someone who can help. Celeste connected Jake with a friend, Tara, a freelance cybersecurity analyst who'd worked with her during Ryan's last scam. Over a secure call, Tara was blunt. "This is fraud, Jake. Ryan's using Mia's accounts to move money, probably for Carson. That video's his insurance. If things go south, Mia takes the blame." "What do I do?" Jake asked. "Expose it, but not to Mia. Send it to her company's compliance team. They'll have to investigate." Ryan's sloppy. He's not covering his tracks well. Jake hesitated. This could ruin Mia, too. She'd hurt him, humiliated him. But did she deserve to be collateral in Ryan's fallout? Tara sensed his pause. She made choices, Jake. Protect yourself first. Send it anonymously. He spent the next hour compiling everything. The audio, the video, the Wi-Fi logs, the bank transfer screenshot. He created a burner email and drafted a message to Mia's company's compliance officer, whose name he found on their website. Subject: urgent financial irregularities. The email was short. Evidence of unauthorized transactions involving employee Mia Brock. Please investigate. He attached the files, encrypted the USB drive as a backup, and dropped it in a plain envelope labeled Truth before it's too late. Jake walked to a post office across town, the envelope heavy in his pocket. He mailed it, no return address. As he stepped outside, his phone buzzed. Mia. "Why aren't you answering? We need to talk." Then another. "Ryan says you're overreacting. Come back." He stared at the screen, thumb hovering, but didn't reply. Instead, he texted Celeste. "It's done. Sent to her company." Her response was a thumbs up. "Good. Now wait." Ryan's about to trip over his own ego. The next day, Jake kept his routine, walked dogs to the shelter, grabbed coffee, acted normal, but his mind was on the envelope. By evening, his phone lit up with a call from an unknown number. He let go to voicemail. It was Mia's boss, sounding tense. "Jake, this is Karen from Pinnacle Marketing. We need to speak about some documents we received. Call me." Jake didn't call back. He didn't need to. The wheels were turning. But that night, his phone buzzed again, a text from Mia. "What did you do?" "They're auditing my accounts." Then, minutes later, Ryan's freaking out. He says you're trying to ruin him. Jake's heart pounded, but he felt a strange calm. He wasn't ruining anyone. He was exposing the truth. He typed a reply, then deleted it. Let her figure it out. He checked social media, where Mia had posted a vague status. Trust is hard to rebuild. Comments poured in, friends offering support, others asking questions she didn't answer. Ryan's profile was silent, but Jake noticed he'd been tagged in a post by Celeste. A screenshot of a text from Ryan, sent to her months ago. "Mia's just a means to an end. Don't worry about her." Jake's breath caught. Celeste was escalating, putting Ryan on blast. He messaged her. "You posted that?" "Yup," she replied. "He doesn't get to hide. Mia needs to see who he is." The next morning, Jake woke to a flurry of notifications. Mia's company had suspended her pending an investigation, according to a mutual friend's text. Ryan had gone dark, his social media locked. Jake didn't feel triumph, just clarity. He'd been the fool for too long, but now he was the one holding the cards. And he wasn't done playing them. Jake's phone hadn't stopped buzzing for 2 days. Texts from mutual friends, voicemails from Mia's coworkers, even a cryptic message from an unknown number. You stirred the hornet's nest. He ignored them all, focusing on the dogs at the shelter, their eager barks a welcome distraction from the storm he'd unleashed. The envelope he'd mailed to Mia's company had done its job. Her firm was auditing her accounts. Ryan was scrambling, and Celeste's public post of Ryan's text had lit a fire online. Jake wasn't gloating. He was waiting for the fallout to settle. By the third day, the tension broke. Jake was grabbing coffee near Pike Place Market when his phone rang. Mia. He let it go to voicemail, but her voice was shaky when he played it back. Jake, I need to see you. It's bad. Please. No apologies, no explanations, just urgency. He didn't call back, but curiosity gnawed at him. What had she found? Was Ryan still playing her? Or had the truth finally hit? He got his answer that evening. A knock at his apartment door startled him. He opened it to find Mia standing there, clutching a folder, her knuckles white. Behind her stood a man in a charcoal suit, his posture stiff but calm. Jake, Mia said, her voice tight. This is David Landry, a private investigator. Can we come in? Jake stepped aside, his guard up. Mia sat on the edge of his couch, the folder unopened in her lap. David stayed standing, his tone professional. Miss Brock hired me last week. She suspected Ryan was hiding something. Your envelope to her company confirmed it. Jake crossed his arms. What's in the folder? David handed it over. Proof Ryan was using Miss Brock's accounts to funnel money for Carson Vellum. He's under investigation for corporate fraud and identity manipulation. Your audio file and video with the missing pieces. Jake flipped through the folder. Bank statements, transaction logs, emails between Ryan and Carson. One email, dated a month ago, outlined a plan to move $200,000 through Mia's corporate account, disguised as client payments. Ryan had access to her login, likely from that video where she was recorded. Mia's name was all over the transactions, but the signatures weren't hers. She'd been set up to take the fall. Mia spoke, her voice low. I didn't know Jake. I thought Ryan was helping with work. He said the transfers were for a big client deal. I trusted him. She paused, eyes fixed on the floor. Then I got your envelope. The company froze my accounts, and Ryan disappeared. He's not answering my calls. Jake's jaw tightened. You chose him, Mia. You sat there and told me to apologize to him. She flinched. I know. I was stupid. He made me feel like you didn't care anymore, like I was chasing something real with him. But it was all a lie. Her hand shook as she opened the folder, pointing to a highlighted line. They traced the money to Carson. Ryan was his middleman. I could have gone down for this. David nodded. The company's cooperating with authorities. Miss Brock's not facing charges. She's a victim here, but her job's at risk. Vellum's under federal scrutiny now, and Ryan's on the run. Your evidence forced their hand. Jake leaned back, processing. He'd expected Mia to be angry, to blame him for exposing her. Instead, she looked broken, like someone who'd bet everything and lost. Why are you here? He asked. Mia met his eyes for the first time. To thank you. I was furious when I got that envelope. I wanted to believe it was fake, that you were just jealous. But you didn't just walk away, Jake. You could have let me crash and burn. Instead, you gave me a way out. Jake didn't soften. I didn't do it for you. I did it because it was right. She nodded, swallowing hard. I'm leaving Seattle. A friend got me a job in Denver, a fresh start. I need to rebuild. My career, my head, everything. But before I go, I needed to say I'm sorry. Not for getting caught, but for what I did to you. David cleared his throat. We're also here to warn you. Ryan's desperate. He knows you're the one who sent the evidence. He might try to contact you, spin a story. Don't engage. Jake's phone buzzed as if on cue. An unknown number. You ruined everything. You'll regret this. He showed it to David, who frowned. Forward that to me. We're tracking him. Mia stood, the folder still in her hands. I thought I won when I chose him. I thought I was free. But he was using me, and I was too blind to see it. She paused at the door. You deserved better, Jake. He didn't respond. She walked out, David following, and the door clicked shut. Jake sat in the silence, the folder on his coffee table like a closed chapter. He felt no victory, just a strange relief. Mia was out of his life, and Ryan's house of cards was collapsing. But something nagged at him, the text. Ryan wasn't done, and Jake wasn't naive enough to think this was over. He checked Celeste's social media. She'd posted again, this time a screen recording of a voicemail from Ryan, dated last night. Celeste, tell your buddy to back off. He's messing with things he doesn't understand. The post was gaining traction, with comments calling Ryan out. Jake messaged her. He's threatening me now. You okay? Her reply was quick. He's scared. Carson's people are closing in on him. Stay sharp. Jake saved the threatening text and forwarded it to David. He wasn't scared, but he wasn't careless either. Ryan had underestimated him once, thinking he'd stay quiet, play the fool. That wasn't Jake anymore. He'd exposed the truth, and now he'd wait to see how far Ryan would fall. Jake woke to the sound of his phone buzzing on the nightstand, the screen flashing with a new message from an unknown number. You think you're clever, but you're in over your head. It was Ryan, no doubt, doubling down after his threatening text yesterday. Jake forwarded it to David Landry, the private investigator, and blocked the number. He wasn't rattled. Ryan's desperation was showing, and Jake knew he'd won by staying calm and strategic. The evidence he'd sent to Mia's company had unraveled Ryan's scheme, and now the authorities were closing in. Days passed without another message, but the fallout was everywhere. Jake's friend at the shelter, who still followed Mia's social media, sent him a screenshot of her latest post, starting over in Denver. Lessons learned the hard way. No mention of Ryan or the fraud, just vague introspection. Comments from her friends were supportive, oblivious to the full story. Jake didn't care. He'd stopped checking her profiles. But he did notice Celeste's latest post, a news article about Carson Vellum's arrest for money laundering, with a cryptic caption, "Karma's a great accountant." Ryan wasn't named, but Jake knew he was running out of places to hide. David called that afternoon, his voice steady but urgent. "Good news and a heads up. Carson's in custody, and he's talking." He named Ryan as his middleman. Said he used multiple women to move money through corporate accounts. Mia's cleared of criminal charges, but her company let her go for negligence. Ryan's off the grid, but we've got his phone records. He was calling Carson daily, even during your date night at the Salty Wave. Jake's grip tightened on his phone. What's the heads up? Ryan's erratic. He tried contacting Mia last night, begging her to vouch for him. She didn't bite, but he knows you're the one who tipped off the company. Stay vigilant. Jake thanked him and hung up. He wasn't afraid, but he double-checked his locks that night. The next morning, he went for a walk in Volunteer Park, needing air to clear his head. The dogs at the shelter had been his anchor through this mess, but today he brought his old camera, a hobby he'd abandoned when Mia started pulling away. Snapping photos of the park's cherry blossoms felt like reclaiming a piece of himself. That's when he met Elise. She stepped into his shot, chasing a loose frisbee, and laughed when he called out, "Your photo bombed my masterpiece." Her grin was easy, no pretense. "They make me look good," she shot back. They talked about photography, her job as a graphic designer, her dog's obsession with stealing socks. No mention of exes or drama, just real conversation. When she asked for his number, Jake didn't hesitate. It was the first time in months he felt light, unburdened. Back home, Jake checked his email and found a message from David. Ryan turned himself in, admitted to using Mia's accounts under Carson's orders. He's facing charges, fraud, identity theft. You're in the clear. Attached was a scanned document. Ryan's signed confession, detailing how he manipulated Mia into granting him access to her accounts, using charm to blind her to the transactions. Mia's name appeared only as a victim, her trust exploited. Jake leaned back, exhaling. It was over. Ryan was done, Carson was behind bars, and Mia was starting over, carrying the weight of her choices. Jake didn't feel triumph, just closure. He'd exposed the truth not to destroy anyone, but to protect himself and stop a cycle of deception. Mia's apology had been genuine, but it didn't erase the hurt. It just let him move on. Weeks later, Jake's life felt new. He was back at the shelter, laughing with volunteers as they wrestled a muddy retriever into a bath. He'd started texting Elise, their banter easy and unforced. One evening, she sent him a photo of her dog chewing his sneaker, captioned, "Think you can capture this criminal in action?" Jake grinned, already planning a shoot at the park. He opened his laptop to edit some photos and saw a final email from David. Case closed. Ryan's plea deal includes restitution. Mia is cooperating with the investigation in Denver. You did the right thing. Jake deleted the email. He didn't need validation anymore. He'd chosen himself, not out of spite, but because he knew his worth. That night, Jake walked to the park again, camera in hand. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the skyline. He snapped a shot, then another, feeling the weight of the past lift. Elise texted, "Meet me for coffee tomorrow?" He typed back, "Only if your dog doesn't steal my latte." Her reply was a laughing emoji, and Jake smiled. The justice wasn't loud. No courtroom drama, no public showdown. It was quiet, deliberate, a truth exposed and left to do its work. Ryan faced consequences, Mia faced reality, and Jake faced forward. He wasn't broken anymore. He was ready for coffee, for new shots, for whatever came next.